Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to Economic Focus. This is the Deep Dive, and today we're digging into the really big stories right from the front page of the Seoul Economic Daily. Our goal, as always, is to help you understand what's really going on behind the headlines. And wow, there's a lot today. We've got a huge AI deal, major international meetings at APEC, and then this surprising study shaking up tax policy debate. It's quite a mix.
It really is. It's fascinating how these things are all happening almost at once. You've got this massive tech alliance with NVIDIA forming right there at APEC, which itself is trying to navigate, well, tricky geopolitical waters. And then back home, this fundamental argument about taxes and jobs. It's a crucial moment looking at the choices being made.
Okay, yeah, let's definitely unpack it. We absolutely have to start with the tech story, that Korea-NVIDIA AI alliance that came out of the APEC summit. Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's CEO, apparently dropped this surprise gift, as they called it, in his meeting with President Lee and the big corporate leaders, Samsung, SK, Hyundai, Naver. Sounds like much more than just buying some chips.
Oh, absolutely. That's the key here. It's the sheer scale of it and the strategy behind it. We're talking 260,000 of the newest Blackwell GPUs. The value could be up to 14 trillion Korean won. I mean, just think about that number. For a single country to get that kind of commitment, it's really unprecedented. This isn't just about boosting computing power. It's aiming for, strategic independence in AI, making sure Korean firms can build their own major AI models.
Right, so they're not totally reliant on, say, American cloud companies or future export rules. And the way they're splitting up those GPUs, it looks very deliberate. Public sector, private sector.
Exactly. Look at the breakdown. The government gets 50,000. Samsung, SK, Hyundai, they each get up to 50,000. That up to is interesting. Maybe some flexibility there.
And then Naver Cloud gets 60,000. That's the biggest single chunk, right?
Yeah.
Why Naver?
Well, think about the cloud market here. Naver Cloud is fighting hard against giants like Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure. Getting 60,000 of these top-tier Blackwell units gives them serious firepower. It helps them anchor their own AI development, keep Korean data and AI work flowing through a domestic platform. It feels like a strategic move to keep a strong Korean player in that global AI race.
Makes sense. But you said it's more than just hardware. There's actual joint investment, too.
Yes, definitely. Big money involved, especially in something called physical AI. Hyundai and Naver, they're partnering with the Ministry of Science and ICT and NVIDIA. Signed an MOU about a $3 billion investment. Physical AI is, well, it's about AI that interacts with the real world. Perceiving, judging, acting.
So like advanced robots in factories.
Yeah.
Or self-driving cars.
Precisely. Things that need to understand and navigate complex physical environments in real time. This investment is looking towards that next wave of automation.
And Samsung and SK, the chip makers, where do they fit in?
They're absolutely critical. Two main things. First, they're using AI to make their own chip production more efficient. And second, crucially, they're ramping up supply of the next-gen memory needed for these powerful GPUs HBM4, the sixth-generation high-bandwidth memory. See, the Blackwell chips are so powerful, they need incredibly fast memory right next to them. Samsung and SK are working directly with NVIDIA on designing these future chips. It ties Korea right into the core of AI hardware development.
Wow, that's a deep partnership. Okay, so this huge tech deal is happening, but it's happening at APEC. Let's shift to that wider diplomatic picture. President Lee kicked off the APEC meeting talking about the international order being at a major turning point. Mentioning protectionism, countries looking inward.
Yeah, that's APEC trying to assert its relevance, in a world that feels more fragmented. President Lee's message was pretty clear. Cooperation and solidarity are the only way forward. The theme they chose, sustainable tomorrow, connect, innovate, prosper. It connects back to this thing called the Putrajaya Vision 2040. That's basically APEC's long-term plan from 5 years ago. Focuses on regional economic integration, digital trade, sustainable growth. So they're trying to stick to that multilateral vision despite everything.
But amidst all that talk of cooperation, there's this really high-stakes meeting coming up, right?
Yeah.
Korea-China Summit. President Lee and Xi Jinping, November 1st. And she hasn't visited since, what, 2014? That makes it huge.
Absolutely vital. And the agenda, well, it shows the balancing act Korea is constantly performing.
Yep.
You've got the geopolitics dealing with North Korea's nuclear program. President Lee has specifically said China needs to play a constructive role there. Beijing's influence is key, no question.
And on the economic side, what are the key issues beyond just boosting trade numbers?
They're looking at deepening the ties, talking about the free trade agreement, specifically the services and investment parts of it, and supply chains. That's huge now for everyone after the recent disruptions, making sure the flow of materials is reliable. But there's potentially a bit of friction, too. You might have seen President Lee's recent comment to President Trump about submarines.
Ah, yeah, I saw headlines, something about diesel subs and tracking Chinese or North Korean ones. Sounded technical, but what's the
Well,
fallout?
it's sensitive, very sensitive. Essentially, President Lee seemed to confirm publicly that South Korea has specific capabilities focused on tracking Chinese and North Korean submarine movements. Now, military folks probably assume this anyway, but saying it out loud, especially in that context, reportedly caused some discomfort in Beijing. It just adds a layer of, let's say, complexity right before this incredibly important summit. Questions about trust.
Yeah, that definitely adds an edge. Okay, let's pivot one last time to domestic policy and this corporate tax debate. There's a new study out by Professor Lee Young-hwan, and it seems to directly contradict the government's line on raising corporate taxes.
It does. And what makes it significant is the data behind it. The professor used 43 years of accounting data, 43 years, from 1980 all the way to 2023, pulled from listed companies in 22 different manufacturing sectors. It's a really long-term look, trying to isolate the actual effect of tax policy changes over decades.
Okay, 43 years is impressive. But focusing just on manufacturing for that long, does that really capture today's economy? With services being so much bigger now, does that old model still apply?
That's a fair critique, and it's part of the debate, but the study's core finding is pretty stark. It found that cutting the corporate tax rate by 1 percentage point led to, on average, a 0.02 percentage point increase in employment growth in the same period. So lower taxes correlated with more jobs, statistically speaking, over that long run.
A direct link, lower taxes, more jobs.
According to this data, yes. The professor's main argument is that tax cuts encourage companies to produce more output growth, and that output growth is what really drives hiring. The study found a 1% increase in output led to about a 1.12% increase in employment. So the conclusion drawn is that cutting corporate taxes works for job creation because it boosts production first.
Okay, so that study provides some solid data for the argument against tax hikes. How does that square with the government's position? Why do they think differently?
Well, the government's argument is basically that past tax cuts didn't really deliver the promised investment or growth. They claim companies just held onto the cash. And they say the reason tax revenues are short now isn't because rates are too high, but because of outside pressures, high global interest rates, the economic slowdown generally, external shocks.
So you have this long-term study saying tax cuts boost jobs via production, and the government saying, well, it didn't work before, and our current problems are external anyway.
Exactly. It sets up a real tension. Empirical data versus the government's current policy justification. It's kind of a fundamental disagreement on how the economy actually works and what levers are effective.
Okay, so up to now, we've covered the topics of APEC, AI cooperation, geopolitics, and that corporate tax research. We will return next time with fast news. This has been the Seoul Economic Daily's Economic Focus. Thank you.